All right. We got one person in here. So, please welcome to Minds Behind the Music. I am your host, LA. Here with me is my friend and fellow bandmate, Mason.
Hello. Good to be here
Today,
again.
yeah. Today is just a laid back, open discussion today. Um, yeah. Last week I was just I've been on a Chicago listening binge at least since I had my surgery. I've been like listening to Chicago nonstop, like the famous rock band of that's from the famous city. And I was talking to my mom about it. I was like just talking about Chicago because she's familiar with Chicago. She grew up listening to their music, and there's so much that I know about it, and I'm just thinking, wow, like I should really just talk about it on my podcast, just get it out there, and figure I have Mason here with me to help along with that because you and I always have something to say with the whenever we're on here.
Yeah. I mean, as far as Chicago is concerned, I don't. I've never followed their stuff very closely, but especially their first few albums in the early '70s, anything that Terry Kath was on really is uh is really what I click with because the dude was just a monster guitarist. I mean, he was a wizard. There was something about it. I don't know how to explain it. Like somehow blending like blues and like the whole fast playing metal stuff before it was even a thing. Like,
Yeah,
but it wasn't like nonsensical. Like he just had a flow.
yeah, I agree with that. Yo, what's up, Nick? How are you, Boogie? Just want to say hi to him. But yeah, I agree with you on that. Like I never really paid attention to Chicago's music until fairly recently. And I know like you and I are like big listeners to like classic rock and like the old music from way back when. And like I never really took the time to pay attention and like listen to Chicago. Like I what first got me into like listening to Chicago was the compilation album that they made in the 2000s of like their biggest hits, where they had stuff from Chicago Transit Authority, like up until probably their stuff in the 90s and 2000s. I don't even remember what I'm gonna look up the compilation album name real quick, but yeah,
Oh,
that
2000. I want to say it came out in 2006. Not sure.
yeah, I think it did too. Let me double check.
2006. Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, yeah, or was it 2006? I'm
Right.
gonna
Right. XXX.
yeah, Chicago Roman numeral Chicago 45. It's probably got more Roman numeral bleh. They probably got more Roman numerals on their albums than the Super Bowl at
Yeah.
this point. Like they literally only like two of their albums aren't named after like the band and a number followed by it. It's like Chicago Transit Authority, Chicago 3, Chicago is there even it's hard to keep up too because there's like different numbers. Like they got Chicago 3 and then it just skips over to Chicago 5 and then Chicago 6, Chicago 7 and Chicago 8 cuz
I see Chicago 17. I didn't even know these many freaking albums existed. you know,
yeah,
I'm
same.
I'm I think the same thing, the same logic that I guess is following the Chicago albums. I've thought about iPhones. Like what's going to happen like 20 years from now when they're on like iPhone 30? Like what are they like what are they
Yeah.
going to are they going to keep going up in numbers or are they going to have to come up with something new, you know? A different marketing tactic.
Yeah. Ap- Apparently they released an album in 2006 called Chicago 30, which is their 20th studio album, which I like it's difficult to keep up with the numbers because it's like they're naming their albums after their overall albums, not their studio albums, their overall albums that came out because they'll have I think before Chicago 10 they named their compilation album Chicago 9. which that came out in 1975 from what it says. Yeah, November 10th, 1975. Chicago 9, Chicago's Greatest Hits, and then Chicago's 8th studio album was Chicago 10. So it's just it is very unusual.
Gotcha. I didn't know that. um, okay. Even Led Zeppelin knew after a couple albums, hey, we got to come up with something better here.
Yeah. I just, they're like Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's actually come up with album names.
Yeah.
Or see, Chicago actually came up with I think they only had 2 albums that weren't named like Chicago something, Chicago follow. Oh no, they have 4 albums named after that weren't just Chicago followed by a number. It was Chicago Transit Authority, Hot Streets 21, 20, like the word 20 and then the number 1, and Night and Day Big Band, which
Huh.
is yeah, I guess it's I wonder what their I should look up what their gimmick was with the whole Chicago 3, Chicago 5, Chicago back and forth. Oh, and I found the when the compilation album came out. It came out in 2002 and it had all their stuff from 1969 to 1995.
Hmm.
Which that's about, let me see. I don't remember how many studio albums that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 studio albums total on the compilation album, which I think it's just all of their singles their from their albums, like all their big singles that came from it.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Hmm.
it's got a lot of their it's got Make Me Smile, they got 25 or 6 to 4. And they got, I know all the big all the big guitar guys just adore 25 or 6 to 4 cuz Terry Kath just rips on that.
Oh yeah. Oh god. I remember trying to learn that solo. I don't know. Maybe honestly, like 2 or 3 years after, if even after I picked up the guitar, and before I I knew an elbow from an oboe, and yeah, it didn't go well. Um, Actually, speaking of somebody in the audience, um, who I've been playing with since I was like a fetus. Um, we I've been playing that song with Nick since like seventh, like my seventh grade year, I think.
Mm.
So I was like 12, 13, and oh god, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible because
I I remember hearing there was like this famous concert that Peter Cetera did in 2017, and he performed it on his own. He changed the key cuz it's in A minor, I believe. It's in the original key. The original key is in A minor and he moved it down to E minor, which is fine, like it could work, but
right.
it didn't have the horns and I feel like that song is very like if it's horn deficient, if I'm putting that correctly, it doesn't work. Like that song
Yeah.
just like the horns really make that song like stand out.
At the very least, you could like. Oh yeah. Yes. Yes, we did. Um, at the very least, you could have a keyboardist playing the
Yeah.
horn parts. I mean, I know there's a key part in there. It makes it actually it stands out a lot on um it makes it stand out in this 19, I want to say it was like Tanglewood in like 1970. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. I
Um
think it was Tanglewood. That's like one of their most famous concerts.
yeah. Um and you can hear the keyboard part live way better than you can in the studio. It's very funky, and I'd hate
Yeah.
to like not have that, but like the horns. I mean, that was like their whole shtick. They had horns. Huh.
Yeah,
Like
that was like No, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, they're just that was their whole thing. Like that was their gimmick. Like, we're a rock band with horns. Ugh.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
kind of like I think they were like the popular version of that. Well, Frank Zappa was also known for having horns in his songs, but not a lot of people like I'm gonna be honest there, like not a lot of people would more people would know about Chicago than Frank Zappa and his band and the Mothers of Invention, because what Chicago did was incorporate like radio friendly like classic rock with horns and like a jazz kind of feel. And Frank Zappa was more in the experimental realm where you got to be in the know to know, you know?
Yeah. You gotta be in the know to know, you know. Uh yeah, you gotta be in the know. Man, yeah, it's unfortunate because a lot of his lyrics could not play on the radio without a lawsuit.
Yeah, no. I think he was even taken to court just for his music in general.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was reading up on that the other day. Uh God, I read his autobiography. Um Actually, I think I was reading it at the time that um we went in to track Avenue of Progress. I was
Mhm.
reading it like right when the pandemic started. And he had like this whole section of the book dedicated to his PMRC or PRMC hearings, something like that. Um,
Yeah, I think
where John Denver and Dee Snider and himself just go there and completely they just obliterate Al Gore.
yeah, they just roast him like there's no tomorrow.
And
Oh,
that's good stuff. Those Senate hearings are beautiful because they were expecting Dee Snider to like be stupid, you know, and he came in there in like his full garb, and I guess Tipper Gore was like trying trying to find like meaning behind the one of Twisted Sister's songs, like that it had, you know, like weird demonic bondage things. And Dee Snider was like, I think your wife just has a dirty mind.
oh, they came packing. I would definitely I think I'm definitely going to I should definitely do like a little commentary over that for and you're definitely I would definitely love to have you for that too because that'll definitely be a blast. Like just have those hearings like go over those hearings on the podcast.
Oh, I'd love to be a part of that if you do it.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know about that. And but back to Chicago. I
Sorry.
no, you're good. I could talk about Zappa and all this other stuff for hours. But I think that I think that like when it came to Chicago, they were like a band that no one worried about that. Like Chicago was basically on the other side of the spectrum while Zappa was doing his own zany, outrageous stuff. Like Chicago was kind of the good boys when you really
Chicago
think
made the
about it.
hits.
Yeah, they made the hits. They made the chart toppers, as what most people would say. Like if you chances are like I could probably look you could probably look up
Uh, Is it just me? I think it's just me. uh, okay. How's it going?
sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I like literally I was trying to hit a new tab and I accidentally closed out of my I closed out of Chrome. But I could probably look up the Billboard charts for like a specific year in the 70s. Let's see. Billboard Hot 100 1974.
Yeah, I'm glad you came back. I was about to start doing "Hello, my lady. Hello, my darling. Hello, my
Oh,
ragtime gal." I was
oh,
gonna
you should have.
start doing that. I wanted to entertain. Well, now I had to entertain somehow.
All right. Well, luckily I came back just in time. Um,
Yeah,
let me
spare
see.
anybody from seeing that.
Oh, oh, oh! I found it. Let's share the
And what
screen,
do we
shall we?
have?
Billboard Hot 100, Billboard year-end Hot 100 singles of 1974. The Way We Were, Barbara Streisand, Seasons in the Sun. Let me Get Your Love, Redbone, the meme song,
The
the Epperson family.
Locomotion.
Oh yeah, Grand Funk Railroad. I thought about taking time to listen to them.
Great band.
I've heard nothing but good things about him. Oh,
Bass player is a monster.
I've heard that too. See, I've been searching so long. Chicago.
Yep. 73.
Chicago. Yeah, let me see. Oh, actually 74. But let's see, 74. That came from Chicago 6. Their sixth studio album. The number of their studio album, and that's I guess that was their sixth album overall. But yeah, I've been searching so long. That came out around that year. There was another song too. Oh, they got Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John.
Of course.
A lot of big things. I know we're gonna make the I Hate My Generation kids really happy because they're gonna be like, well, the Billboard Hot 100 charts doesn't look like this anymore.
You know what? I listen to music of cavemen banging sticks and stones on the walls.
You know what, Mason? I listened to the sound of the Big Bang, the sound of the universe being created. So if there's a competition of who listens to the oldest music, I automatically win. But there was another. Oh, here it is. Call on Me by Chicago. There's another.
Oh, yep.
I swear, like, you go on any, you search the Billboard Hot 100s charts for anything, even the 70s and even in the 80s. When, even in the 80s, you chances are you'll find a Chicago song, at least one. And there's Call on Me. This also came from Chicago 6. Came out in 1974.
I wonder how many movies, like in total, like romantic, like love movies and everything, feature a Chicago song. Like, I wonder the total number. You know what I mean? Because it's so stereotypical, right?
That is a
Saturday in the Park, like, alone.
Mhm.
You know, I wonder how many like movie and TV appearances that they collectively have.
That is I wonder that too. I know that when I think of a Chicago song being in a movie or in a TV show, I think of the song "You're the Inspiration."
Okay.
You know, the one that came out in the 80s, the "You're the meaning in my life."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what's that? Things we said today.
Oh yeah, the If You Leave Me Now. Yeah,
okay.
most people that play GTA 5 know that song. I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. Most people that have
GTA 5, yes, but I have an even better example.
Oh no.
Which is South Park. There's an episode like in one of the early seasons where Butters is singing it. He's like,
I remember that.
Yeah, you're right. You know what I'm talking about? I forget.
Yeah.
Where I feel like it was in the episode where Cartman pretends that the world is ending and puts Butters in a cellar. I think so he could go to the birthday party or something like that.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't invited. Yeah. And he starts singing like, if you leave me now, you'll take away the biggest part of me. Ooh.
I'll definitely Yeah, I would definitely play that here, but again, I'm pretty sure that YouTube's been like
copyright.
Yeah, and YouTube's like you ever seen Regular Show, that one episode with the gigantic eye and like where they use the surveillance and he was kind of like he used peepers like times like infinity or something like that, and he gets the big eye watching. That's basically YouTube on like music content creators nowadays. Especially
Bro, they hit Rick Beato.
Oh yeah, they're trying to crucify him.
I think he got it repealed.
Yeah, he got the one with the cars repealed, I think.
Yeah. But well, was that the only one that he got? That's the only one that I heard about.
Um, no, there was a bunch of them. Like I know he's a lot of his what makes this song great, were like taken down or copyrighted, but that one was the one where he got a strike on his channel.
Right. Yeah, the Cars one, right?
Yeah, it was the Cars one.
See, if I was like a record company, I would understand that somebody like Rick Beato doing something like that would probably be like beneficial, right?
Yeah, like it's trying to
Because
get
it's
your
like
music out there, and he's crediting
yeah,
like the labels, he's crediting the writers and everything.
the producers, the well, yeah, that's pretty much that's pretty
Yeah,
much it. Um, I don't know. It's just it's really stupid to me because it's like half the people that I would talk to generally that aren't musicians. If I'm like, oh yeah, just what I needed. It's one of my favorite songs. What the hell is that? You know? It's like
yeah, like he's trying to get people that are even younger than you and I to listen to these acts and listen to these old artists and musicians to see like, what they did, and what they did was actually pretty clever.
he should
Like
do a Chicago song if he hasn't already.
yeah, I think that I think that if he still, which I really hope he does, because I love that series, the what makes this song great, he should definitely do a Chicago song. I feel like he would definitely like. I feel like he could do 25 or 6 to 4, or like one of those other songs like Feeling Stronger Every Day or something like that. One of their like really like complex, not complex, but really like sophisticated songs that they wrote, or any of the songs written by their keyboardist, because their keyboardist is known for playing a lot of their keyboardist is known for a lot of their big hits in the 70s, like 25 or 6 to 4, Saturday in the Park. um Let me just, I'm gonna look that up too, because I've been wanting to I was gonna mention this anyway about what really like Chicago's success in their songwriting as well. Let me see. Chicago. I'm just gonna straight up look up Chicago songs written by Robert Lamb. Here we go.
Oh, maybe Nick could help me out here. I don't know if he's still in the comments, but the current keyboardist for Styx, um I forget his name. I maybe James something.
Yeah, let me see. Sticks.
Uh
I
what's
believe
his name?
he's
He's a younger guy.
let me see. Sticks keyboard player. Yeah, he is the keyboard player is Lawrence Gowan, or Gowan. I think
Oh,
that's how it's pronounced.
okay. Right.
Yeah, he was one of
Um
their. Oh no, he's been in Styx since 1999.
right, yeah, but it's not the original. It's not the original keyboardist from the 70s.
No, it's not.
No. Um right. Just completely unrelated speaking about keyboardists. Um I saw Styx, I don't know, a couple years ago at MPAC in
Mm.
Morristown. Um Holy crap, that guy can play. And like just generally like as a showman, like go see Styx if you can, because
Mhm.
that that keyboardist, he is he can put on quite a show. Let me tell you.
Oh, what's up, man? What's up? Red Sings the Blues, man. Man behind the mic. How are you, man? And let's see. Martha Perez suggested Progress Avenue should do a Chicago cover.
You never know.
Yeah, I we're just trying. We've just been trying to figure out the right song. Plus,
Wink, wink.
there-
Nudge, nudge.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, what was I gonna say? There was actually something weird that I did yesterday, but I guess it would be kind of neat. Um, I I I decided to. I wouldn't call this a parody, because this is more like this is not as much satire for the song, but like more to make the song more relatable towards people that grew up like you and me. I I rearranged the song "Old Days" by Chicago. I'm not gonna read it right now because um I don't want anyone to cringe, but it's basically like a Gen Z version where like it's just like about like growing instead of growing up in the 50s and 60s, it's like the 90s and 2000s, like where people how people grew up back then. And oh man, if we ever decide to perform Old Days, just know I have that ready.
I have a good couple ideas of some things that you probably wrote about or included. Oh God,
Hmm.
that's
One of
probably
them
pretty good though.
One of them is KB Toys. I don't know if you remember KB Toys. It's like a toy store that was big when I was growing up. They I believe they closed down and like right after I moved back to New Jersey, or right after my family moved back to New Jersey.
Hmm.
And oh, but here's the songs that that Robert Lamb wrote, at least the most notable ones. Questions 67 and 68. Does anybody really know what time it is? Beginnings, 25 or 6 to 4. Saturday in the Park, but I kind of already knew that because I believe he sings on that too. He sings
Yeah,
and he does
he
that like
has
bossa
to.
nova piano.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's him. I believe Robert Lamb sings the main verse and Peter Cetera sings the chorus. Yeah. Oh, he wrote dialogue part 1 and 2.
What is it about numbers with this band, man?
I don't know. Maybe they're really good at math.
The
That's what
screwed
I
up
think.
Roman numerals, number of questions, and now a number of dialogues. All right. I'm seeing a recurring theme here. And while we're at it, where's the other 66 questions?
Yeah. Well,
And then
what
25 or 6 to 4. What?
apparently I found out that 25 or 6 to 4 is about like being in the studio for a long time. It's like what it feels like to be in a recording session.
Really?
Yeah, I looked that up recently. I think Cetera was talking about it or one of the other members. And
I heard a way different story.
oh really? I want
Yeah.
to I want to hear what you I
Um
want to hear what that is.
so 25 stands for uh lysergic acid ditryptamine, which is LSD
Mhm.
25. And the song is about dropping acid at 6 p.m. and then being up till 4 a.m. when the sun rises and then going to sleep and sleeping through the day. That's what I heard
Oh.
the song was about. Of course, the sun doesn't come up at 4
Yeah,
a.m.
yeah, it's still pretty dark around 4 a.m. even at 5 a.m.
But
Well,
hey, maybe on June 21st, maybe at like 4:59. But like, you know,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like
yeah.
what you read is probably more plausible, but
The,
yeah, it's probably more what it was.
it, yeah, it might have been, but I wonder what got. Maybe it's like with "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins, where they thought the song was about how Phil Collins watched somebody drown, and then at a concert he found the guy that drowned the guy, and it's like that. It's like how does that make any sense with that? But
Oh man, I just saw somebody drown. Man, I could call the cops, or I got a better idea. I'm gonna write a song about it.
apparently the actual song is just about him being angry about his divorce. That's it. Because he even said that because I think
Whoa.
when he was getting interviewed by Jimmy Fallon, like Jimmy Fallon said like, oh, is this what the song is about? Being the guy that drowned and that topic. He's like, yeah, it's like everyone says that, but that's not true. He just said he was just angry about his divorce, and that was it.
Huh. Oh god, that reminds me. There's a interview with Steven Seagal from like a couple years ago, and he's talking about when Brandon Lee died, the son of Bruce Lee. He died
Mhm.
on set because somebody fired blank at it, like
Yeah,
a
a gun
blank
that they
gun.
thought was
Yeah, but somebody loaded it with a bullet. And Steven Seagal is talking about how he got a call after Brandon Lee got shot and was like, "Yeah, if you go to investigate the bullet wound, you you're gonna find out that really there's a bullet in there." And I'm like, so wait a minute. Brandon Lee just got shot, and instead of calling the cops, you call Steven Seagal and you go, "Hey man, Brandon Lee just got shot. We were gonna call the cops, but we called you because we didn't know what to do, dude."
it's an interesting choice of people to call. Like, you could have called anyone, and you just chose to call another actor that's known for, like, martial arts and action movies.
Well, if the implication was that Steven Seagal was lying because Steven Seagal.
Yeah, it's it's weird what you could think of, like, song topics, like, what I wonder what people would think of, Saturday in the Park. What do they wha it's pretty self-explanatory. Are people gonna think that, "Oh, it's a metaphor for, um, smoking, smoking dope and, drinking alcohol and, just just, swimming naked in the lake at the park, and it's just happens to be on a Saturday." Just overcomplicates the song meaning.
There's, you know, I'm someone who highly subscribes to the idea that there's probably like meaning behind most things, just from like an artistic standpoint. But you get to a point, like you arrive to a point where you're theorizing about Phil Collins witnessing a murder, and instead of calling the cops, goes to write a song about it. You get to a point. You get to a
Like,
point. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
like, let's be honest, man.
Like there's probably good interpretation, and then
Mhm.
there's batshit interpretation, like insane
Yeah,
interpretation.
just pure insanity. Like, I think it's clever, like, with the 25 or 6 to 4, like, it's very clever that they thought that, but I don't know, like, I am thinking that it's more the studio thing because they were,
Yeah,
you know, they 90% of the time during their career in the 70s, they were either in the studio or touring.
yeah. I mean, granted, again, it was the '70s, like acid and all, but
Yeah,
still, I feel like they are also not that kind of group. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like, they're not, like, you could tell that, like, I think they did struggle with substance abuse, like, in their
Terry
career.
Kath did. He was an
Yeah, Terry
alcoholic, I
Kath
think.
did. Yeah, Terry Kath did. I think Cetera did, but he got clean in the '80s. Um, I don't know about any other member, but they seemed like a band that was very, like, straight edge, like, didn't really seem like, "Oh, yeah, we're smoking and tripping and all this other stuff." They didn't seem like that kind of band,
No,
but,
but
uh
hey, it's a good song, and
mhm.
the ending of that song, like, it kills me every time. I love it. It's
Yeah,
just
that
so out of the blue.
so sudden, but it works. Um, I'm gonna ask Martha Perez, what Chicago song do you think that we should cover? Like, or any of you guys want to ask, like, what Chicago song would you suggest that we would cover? Because we did have some songs in mind for covering, but we just need to work out everything, the arrangements with that, just so we'll be set. Because covering Chicago, you really got to take to account the arrangements and the kind of sound because they did have a huge sound. I wouldn't say it was like orchestral, but it was definitely like ensemble kind of. It was definitely like an ensemble based band because
It
you
was
had
definitely getting into the realm of, well, outside of whatever typical rock and roll was becoming
yeah,
or was at the time.
like let me see. I think they had 3 horn players, I think, in their prime,
Yeah,
like, right?
they had a trombone player, a sax, and a trumpet.
Yeah, it says it right here. Lofnan Lee Lofnan did trumpet, and he also did backing vocals too. James Pankow did trombone.
Mm,
Walter Parasiter. I'm probably like badly. I'm probably butchering these bands really badly. Butchering these names really badly, but yeah, he did saxophone, and he also did the flute and clarinet. He did, and also did backing
mm.
vocals. I guess he must have played flute on "Color My World," like that. You know that flute solo
Oh
that plays
yeah,
after
yeah.
Terry
Hmm.
sings. Yeah, that that's honestly like I've been listening to that song on repeat for God knows
Good
how.
song.
Yeah, but oh my god, it is a good song. It's such a it's like a very simplistic ballad, but it's just there's so much like emotion and feeling to it. Like there's not it's like I think it's simplistic in regards to like the technicality of the song. Like you could like it's not hard to play, but there's so
Right,
much feeling in the song and in the way that it's played. Like especially the when you hear Terry Kath sing it, it's like you could tell he's feeling what he's singing. Like
right,
it's like, and I think Terry Kath, if you listen to Terry Kath's voice, it's very similar to Ray Charles's voice, and I think that's kind of why you could have that like soulful feeling because when Ray Charles sings, it just it hits different to say the least, and Terry Kath has a similar voice to that, and I think he has the same kind of magic to his singing. See, Martha Perez said it would be interesting to hear one of their popular ballads covered with a little more funk or rock flair to it. Yeah, like Hard Habit to Break. That was from I think that was from the last studio album to have Peter Cetera cuz he left in 85, I want to say. Yeah, he left in 85. Yeah, he left in 85. So when was Chicago discography. There it is. Uh, yeah, his last album was Chicago 17, and it came out in 84. And yep, Hard Habit to Break, that came out in 84 as well. And so did You're the Inspiration, same album, Chicago 17, last album to feature Peter Cetera.
right.
I think we could probably pull that off. It's definitely more it has more of it's more towards the vocals and the keyboards. So there's definitely a lot that can be done with that. Oh, and that was when Bill Champlin joined the band. I think he joined the band in 81. He did he did a lot of the songs like he sang I think he sang on that one too during the part where it changes the key. I think it goes up like a minor third where it's like I was thinking that you were lucky to have me. I'm pretty sure that was him. And
Okay.
I I to what this was saying, the with a little more funk and a rock flair to it, I would definitely we should definitely take that to consideration. I think that
Mm,
what is it? The covering a Chicago song can either go very well or very badly. Even
yeah.
I think even Chicago themselves are have trouble doing their own songs, at least with all the history of lineup changes that they've had.
Right.
Like
Well, does Peter Cetera play with them now?
let me check. I don't think so. Let me see.
And if
Let
not,
me
like, why are you even going around to Chicago? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
yeah,
Peter Cetera,
okay.
yeah.
You don't have Terry Kath. You don't have
Mhm.
Peter Cetera. I'm really gonna go out on a limb and say you probably don't have any of the original horn players.
Actually they do. I'm surprised. They do.
All three?
Yeah, Lee Lofnan, James Pankow, and Walter Powderzider. Yeah, no.
Actually, you know what? To be fair, that's probably got to be a pretty comfy gig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've heard that the guy that sings with them now, he sounds pretty good. Like because I know they went through a series of vocalists in like the 80s and 90s. I don't know
Right.
Their current bassist
I don't know.
is
It's just like once you lose some members, like I feel like a band gets to the same point that like a TV show gets to, where it's
yeah.
like after about 8 seasons, call it quits. Stop trying to do that. And
I, I
you know,
actually brought up this point too, with I actually brought this point up when I talked about my first podcast episode about Rush breaking up and how it was basically the best band breakup so far. Yes, I think is that band that really should call it quits. Like
yeah,
Yes is a perfect example of that because think about it. They don't have Chris Squire, they don't have
nope,
John Anderson, and they
nope,
don't have Rick Wakeman.
nope.
All the only original members that they have are uh Steve Howe and Alan White.
Steve Howe is a monster guitarist,
Oh yeah.
but
No, he's phenomenal.
But but you can't put Steve Howe with four different individuals who aren't Yes and call it Yes. Like
Yeah.
it's like okay, Leonard Skinner. All right, that's a parody band. Okay,
Mhm. Most of the original members aren't even around anymore. They're not even
I don't think any of them are the original members. I don't think
I
a
don't think
single
so
one in
either.
that band. They're
I think
all
maybe
ones
one
that
guitarist,
joined.
but that's it.
Um, my bet would be that it would be Okay, hold on, wait. The drummer died. The singer died in the plane crash. Ronnie
Mhm.
Van Zant, right?
Yeah, Ronnie
Um,
Van Zant.
what's his face? Died in a or not died, but I think he paraplegic in a car crash. What was his name? He was the cool guy with the destroyer, um, or the explorer rather.
Let me
Um,
have a look at that.
not Gary Rossington.
Yeah. Oh, he's the only one that's still in the band, Gary Rossington and
That was my guess.
Ricky Medlock.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he was
Um,
in the band from 1971 to 1972, and then he came back in 1996.
who was one of the original lead guitar player?
Let me see.
Gary Rossington. No,
Yeah, he's still in the band.
he's still in the band, right?
Yeah.
Who's the Alan Collins?
Let me see. Yes, Alan Collins.
Yeah, there you go. He, if memory serves me correctly, got in a car crash, became a
Mhm.
paraplegic or a paraplegic, and then stopped playing with them, and then I think died from complications after that.
Yeah, he
Um,
died in 1990. I'm actually looking
hmm,
this stuff up now.
uh, so like, okay, yeah, except for one member who joined after their main album or their first album,
Yeah.
who was playing with them in the 70s, but I don't think he was on. I think he was just like one of their live guitarists at first, right? Like one of their
Yeah,
touring.
one of their or like one of their like arrangement musicians.
Right.
Let me see.
Uh,
Let's see what it might be. Yeah,
because
it was one of their touring members.
yeah. Right. Gary Rossington, Alan Collins, and the third guitarist who played slide. Right. He plays the
Mhm.
slide on Freebird. Um, crap, I forget his name. Anyway, right. Sorry, I digress. But they are a cover band. Okay, they're not even a cover or like AC/DC.
Yeah.
They're not even a cover band. They're a parody. You know.
Most of their original members are gone. Like I know their bassist left.
Hmm.
Their Malcolm Young, their rhythm guitarist, died. I heard that Brian Johnson actually returned. Thank God. I didn't really like. I Axl Rose singing their songs was just abhorrent. Like I'm not even gonna beat around the bush with that. It was just
Horrible.
yeah. It was an earache to listen to.
Okay, actually, this serves two purposes. AC/DC was a band that okay, first of all, again, now is like a parody. Like it's not even like a band. Like they are
Hmm.
self-aware. Okay, Angus Young is self-aware that he's been writing the same crap for 40 years. I think it's another AC/DC is another one of like those like examples. I feel same with probably Chicago at this point, where it's like, with AC/DC, if they had disbanded after Highway to Hell or even after Back in Black, they came out with one great album after Bon Scott died, Back in Black, and then called it
Hmm.
quits, dude, they would be immortalized right now, even more so than they are, right?
Yeah, I think
Not the
so too.
meme dump cesspool that they are now. Like they're just a
Yeah, not the,
cesspool of
oh
memes.
yeah, classic rock. My music and taste is better than yours.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that
then
kind of stuff.
whenever somebody says that to me, I just point out, like, I'm like, oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? We'll point out, like, a good song that they've made since 1980. And, uh, uh, freaks out, like, brain explodes.
Yeah. It's like Chicago. I can't name a single song of theirs that came out past 1984. I don't know a single song of theirs. Um, I don't know a single song of theirs past Chicago 17.
Right.
I like anything after Peter Cetera left. If you told me to name one of their songs post Peter Cetera, I would not be able to tell you. Was that's as
Name one of their
far as
songs post Peter Cetera.
you got me there. It's like it's kind of like that same logic. Like again, I'm not trying to rip on them. They're like phenomenal musicians and great songwriters. Like they've definitely have a sound of their own that's unmistakably theirs. But there definitely comes a time where it's like a certain band is at their peak.
Right. Yeah, for sure. You know, like, I don't know. To be completely frank with you, as much as you don't know anything about Chicago after Peter Cetera left, I barely know anything about Chicago after Terry Kath left, just because he was what he was, and
Yeah.
like
Honestly,
after having sorry,
no, you could go ahead.
just after having that figure gone of like, oh, here's like this awesome guitarist, and now he's not going to play anymore. It's like I'm not really interested. I mean, I should give it a listen just because
Mhm.
Peter Cetera is cool, but you know,
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I I can only name a handful of songs from like their post Cath era. Like I know a lot of their big 80s ballads like Hard to Say I'm Sorry, You're the Inspiration, um, Hard Habit to Break, and Love Me Tomorrow. That was another big one.
hmm.
And they had one song off of their 1978 album Hot Streets. It was called Alive Again. It was like a disco like rock song,
I have
and
heard that one.
that was supposed to be like their song to commemorate Terry Kath,
Yeah,
to talk about his contribution to the band. Because let's be honest, uh, it was like a huge portion of their band's sound. Like I'm just keeping it a buck with you guys, but it's it's really unique to see. Like I could honestly say Terry Kath was probably to Chicago like Cliff Burton was to Metallica. I think
mm.
I've always wondered what it would be like had those tragic events not have happened and had they not have died. Like what would they sound like? What would they have sounded like?
Huh, huh.
Like and this is just my personal opinion. I feel like those two members of their bands, Terry Kath from Chicago and Cliff Burton, they gave their bands an edge, like
Mm,
a specific edge to their music that no other member of the band did. Which this is not to discredit any of the other members. Like they're great in their own right. They're phenomenal musicians and they're
not
excellent.
Lars.
And yeah, but that's a different story. That's a whole. But I mean like Chicago, like the members of Chicago, like they're definitely like they're definitely like songwriters and musicians that deserve their own praise. But the point being is when they had these certain members to the band, like Terry Kath did with Chicago and Cliff Burton did with Metallica, they had an edge. They had something about them that really stood out.
Right. Especially his voice, man. It was like very, very sultry. Very,
Yeah, soulful as
very
all hell.
dibbly dumptious.
He had some strength to his voice. He definitely did. Um, there was one song that I really enjoy from that. From There's one song that's an instance, and I think this is a song that we're planning to cover as well. Let's see if we can find it. I don't remember what album it came from. Let me double check. Uh, I don't remember what it came from. Oh, maybe. Oh, it came from their first album, "I'm a Man."
Oh, I'm a man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like funky and like, oh my god, the performances there. Like everyone's just feeling out the music. Everything's just so in sync. Like if you really want a band to have, if you really want to see some true band chemistry, look at their performance of this song in the 1970 Tanglewood concert.
Mm.
Like it's true musicianship right there.
You know what vibes that gives me? Um, uh, a lot of Spain by Return to
To
Forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
Monday's
God,
show is
like
about Chick Corea and Return
yeah.
Forever.
Um, it's just like in the recording how they're going to like that kind of like Afro rhythm section, and they're all just like calling, responding back at each other. That gives me a lot of the
Mhm.
same vibes. A lot of the same
Yeah,
vibes as I'm a man. I mean, it's completely different, but it just
it has a similar feel to it.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and apparently, Robert Lamb also sings on that song too. So that's like a
Mm,
pretty unique way. I think it's one of the most unique instances where they recorded, where they performed, where there were three people singing Chicago song, like singing a lead vocal melody. I think
mm.
it's one of the best that's ever handled. Like whenever a band has two more than one vocalist or more than one lead vocalist, and they can do something like this, they really know what they're doing.
Mm.
Oh, it's a cover. I didn't even know that. It's a cover of this of a song by the Spencer Davis Group. Wonder how theirs
That's a little bit
sound.
too far back for me.
Yeah, that one came out in '67. I'm not too well versed in a lot of the '60s music, but yeah, this song I it's so interesting the way they divvied up their vocals. Like I think Terry Kath was like a low baritone or bass baritone,
Mm.
and Robert Lamb I think was a high baritone, and Peter Cetera was a mid-range tenor. Which, but they all knew how to like handle their melodies in their voices. Like they 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 did songs that really like fit their vocal range.
Yeah, seriously. It's I don't want to listen to some guy strain, you know.
Mhm. Joby. It's I think it's always the right technique, and it's always about the water you drink. It's about the
Oh
water. You
yes.
got to make sure your water's good.
Well, to water.
Yeah, to water. Here's to water, guys.
That's all I had left. Crap.
Yeah, so I think that they they were definitely they were definitely that band that like people should really look into and see like what they were known for and what they've done. Like I might be more biased about that, but I kind of preferred when they had that like strong edge to them and they were like really like hard, fast driven, and they were like funky and hard, like to have a more
Yeah,
hard rock sound to them. Like it was an edge. Like I said, it was the edge that Terry Kath gave to that band, and we probably would have not wanted it any other way. Like I noticed there was slowly transitioning from more like hard rock to soft rock in the early to mid 70s, at least from 73 until 76. That's when they really started doing more more like softer rock music or more softer kind of music. And not trying to say it's bad. It's not bad, but it's definitely more of like like a tone down from how they started. But that's just more of like looking out for their transitions. uh, there's definitely a couple like soft rock tunes of theirs that I liked. Let me see if I can find it, because I believe Chicago 6 or 5. 5 was kind of like, no, five was when they were starting to like be like, yeah, more commercial success, more like poppy, more like Chicago 5 was that, because they had Saturday in the Park and they had Dialogue Part 1 and 2, which I think both are very good songs. I especially Saturday in the Park. Like I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm not gonna be biased and say like, oh, we only like hard rock music. Heavy, 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 heavy. Like I like the variety that certain bands could have, and to be able to pull something off like that is very one of a kind. Like, and it's a feel good song. Like it's good vibes. It's good lyrics. Like it's not complex, thought provoking lyrics, but it's like wow, yeah, we're all having fun. Like it's that kind of thing. And sometimes a band should like just just sit back and like be more laid back with some of their tunes, just so we know like, yeah, we're not just angry. We're not just like, oh, this is happening. Like we I think this is Chicago was that band that just played what they felt was right and played what they really enjoyed doing. And it's like I said, Saturday in the Park is a very like good feel good song. And I'm not gonna lie, it reminds me of better times where we weren't in the pandemic worrying about, oh my god, like we're worrying about like, the virus, and worrying about like whether or not we're gonna be out doing stuff. Like it's just like feeling good. Like you don't have to
Fair.
like,
I didn't think about it like that.
yeah, like if you ever there's a I think it was a commercial version for of like a, I wouldn't call it a music video, but it's just literally them performing at a park in Chicago or somewhere. I don't know if it's in Chicago. Um and they're just performing. They performed Saturday in the Park, and they performed a couple other songs. And it was like, I really miss this.
Yeah.
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 But that's just my personal connection with the song. I think it's a very um I think it's very like not super technical, but I think the notation is very unique. I like what Peter Cetera does on the bass. I like what Robert Lamb does on on the piano as well, like the keyboards. Like they're definitely got their own rhythm. Like it's more of a bossa nova sound. And Terry Kath, I think he's just strumming chords. He might be doing a few leads, but I think he's mostly strumming chords on that song too. But
Yeah. No, I don't think there were really any lead bits. I I liked I appreciate the horn stabs. You know, it's like Saturday back in the
in the
park.
park.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are cool.
Yeah. I honestly, I think Chicago really took advantage of the horn sections in their songs. Like they really they knew how to arrange it, and they knew like when to hold back, when to go all out, like when should the horns be playing. Like it was they timed their stuff perfectly, and they knew exactly how it should sound.
Experienced horn players.
Yeah. Like I think another I I'm gonna keep going on to their hits going from 72 on to like 76. They have the song "Feeling Stronger Every Day," which is another famous, which is another popular song of theirs that I really like. It's 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 not it's not like a hard rock tune. It's a rock tune, but it's like it's another feel good tune. Like it's like let me see. Let's let's see what the song is about because I'm on the article as well. The song was a collaboration between bassist Peter Cetera and trombonist James Pankow regarding the song's composition. Drummer Danny Serafine recalled. Peter wrote the song with the trombone about his marriage falling apart. He had gone through a hard time and was starting to feel stronger again. Cetera himself, I can remember the exact beginnings of that one. We were at the Akron Rubber Bowl in Akron, Ohio, an outdoor gig that was delayed a bit because of rain. And so we got there our normal hour and a half before the gig, and we're sitting around and we were told we're going to hold for at least an hour. I heard Jimmy James Pankow in the other room playing the actual beginning of that song. And I said, "What is that?" And he went, "Oh, I don't know. I'm just messing around." I went and got my bass, and we sat there and played around with it. And a few weeks later, after we got off the road, I went to his house and we wrote Feeling Stronger Every Day. So
Hmm.
basically, it's basically like more so like Peter Cetera like feeling like the stronger chemistry with his bandmates, which is a really cool uplifting like tone or meaning to it because it's just like, hey, I'm feeling stronger every day now that this like this like bad event in my life that's taken a toll on my like mental health and possibly physical health, like I'm feeling stronger. Which again, if you're looking for a more hard rock song by Chicago, I would not suggest going here. But if you just really like the music, if you really like, just hearing them perform, it's a good song. I would definitely recommend it. It's called Feeling Stronger Every Day. It came out from their 1973 studio album Chicago 6. And they had like a they had a more poppy ballad on that album too called Just You and Me, which I believe it was. It's just like a love song,
Hmm.
I believe. Oh, it was Pankow. The song was about Pankow just getting into an argument with his fiance, or yeah, it was him, his then fiance, now wife. It was like about like they got in a fight. She was really mad and all this other stuff, and he was saying like, "Oh, this is like my feelings towards her and all this other stuff," which is it's a cute little like love song kind of like uh, it's a cute little like love song poppy tune. It's
Right.
not one of my favorites, but it's not a bad song. I would definitely give it that. It's not a bad song. Now, I I know we're probably gonna want to talk about other things related to Chicago, but there's something that came out on the album after that, Chicago 7, that most people don't know about, and it was the song Wishing You Were Here. Not to be mistaken with Pink Floyd's 1975 album Wish You Were Here. I know, Mason, you're a big Pink Floyd guy, and
Yeah.
you're
Quite.
yeah, and that's probably my favorite Pink Floyd album. But no, the song is called "Wishing You Were Here," not "Wish You Were Here,"
Right.
which I guess, which I mean, they song titles aren't copyrightable anyway. Plus, the song came out before "Wish You Were Here." It came out in 1974. That was the song that they did with the Beach Boys, I believe. Yeah,
They
it was
did a
the
song
song.
with the Beach Boys.
Yep,
I
and it
didn't
was
even
this
know that.
song. Yeah, you learn that you learn. This is what I wanted to. This was what I was just about to get into. This was the
Yeah,
song
what?
"Wishing You Were Here." Yeah, they did a song with the Beach Boys in 1974.
Huh.
It's a very eerie tune, and apparently back in the 70s, like when this song came out, it was a big deal. It's like, wow, two of the biggest bands of all time are getting together to make a song, which it technically
Fair.
wasn't all of, or it wasn't all of the Beach Boys. It was just Al Jardine, Carl Wilson, and Dennis Wilson.
All right.
But
Okay.
it was still a big deal for back in the day. It was the funny thing is Peter Cetera actually played guitar on this song, and Terry Kath played bass. And
Huh.
yeah, Terry Kath,
Switcheroony. All right.
yeah, the old switcheroo. Uh, Terry Kath sang it too. He did the lead vocals, and the Beach Boys did backing vocals, and Peter Cetera also did. He did lead vocals on the chorus. But
Huh.
I don't know if we could really describe. It doesn't really say what the song is particularly about. I can look that up real quick. But
Right. Yeah. Don't play it. You'll get a Rick Beato'd.
yeah, that's a good word. We're gonna call it now. Rick Beato'd. Yeah, I've gotten Rick Beato'd already, and I don't want to. I don't want
Wait,
to get
seriously?
on YouTube. Yeah, it was one of my other videos. I think it was about what was it about? I don't even remember. It might have been about certain artist influence. I don't exactly remember, but the video just got taken down like no questions asked.
Did you get a copyright strike?
No, but it did get the video. They did take down the video. Like it wasn't a copyright strike. They just took the video down. But with wishing you were here, oh, the song was written by Peter Cetera. That's something that
Mm.
that we have not seen in Chicago yet. Because in the early '70s, it was mostly James Pankow or one of the other members of the horn section. I don't want to say their names because I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing me butcher their names. Um, and Robert Lamb. Robert Lamb wrote a lot of their biggest hits, but this is when Peter Cetera started to write their songs or started to write or get more into songwriting because it was kind of like Iron Maiden. Like, yeah, the vocalist was is a big part of the band, but he didn't do much of the songwriting until later on, which I think was in the mid or late 1980s. That was when Bruce Dickinson started doing more of the writing for Iron Maiden.
Huh.
Wishing You Were Here is, if you haven't checked it out, it's from their 1974 album Chicago 7. It's definitely an eerie tune. It's like a soft rock kind of tune, but it's very eerie, very like ambient, and
I gotta check it out.
it's very different too. It's very different from what you'd hear from Chicago, but it's a very unique song. I don't know if I would classify it as one of my favorites. I definitely don't think it's bad. It's probably I think it's one of their best written songs. And apparently it charted at the Billboard Hot 100 number 11, and it made number 1 on the easy listening charts. So it's
Huh.
definitely something to look out for.
Huh.
But yeah,
That's
there's
funky.
oh, you're listening to it now?
No. The what it is funky.
Yeah.
Maybe I could
And
listen to it.
according to my mother, it was a huge deal in the '70s because I didn't live in the '70s, so I wouldn't have known
Right.
that. But apparently, it was a big deal that like two of the biggest American musical acts from the '60s and '70s got together and made a song. Like,
I rem- I remember when we were in the studio with Kevin and Paul,
yeah,
and Kevin has an album of a Clapton album from I think the 80s. I forget what it was, but he was like, I was asking him about some of the studio work that he's done, and he was like, "Oh yeah, and I worked on that album," and 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 I was like, "Whoa, really?" And and he was like, "Dude, I'm not that old." He's like, "How old do you think I am?" I was kidding, but but I thought that was funny. You
that
reminded me
sounds
of
like a
that.
big troll move. That's like mean as hell. But yeah,
But I gotta check out that song.
yeah, it's I would definitely recommend it. If you guys also want to check out the song, feel free to check it out. I'll actually write it in the chat too. Let me write it in the chat.
Wish You Were Here by Chicago. Chicago.
Were here.
Good old Chicago.
Good old Chicago. Wishing you were here, Chicago. This is what it's called.
Chicago.
Not wish you were here. Wishing you were here.
Bro, I love that
Past.
picture of you. When was that taken?
My senior year of high school.
Oh, that
I
makes
believe
sense.
that's when I was. Yeah, it was my senior year of high school. Let's see. I'll put the album where it came from too, if people like don't know what album it came from.
You said Chicago is 6 or 7, right?
Yeah, Chicago 7. I believe it came out. Yeah, 1974. Yep, 1974. Here we go. Yep, check out Chicago 7. It came out in 1974. And their next album, which is when they really started doing more like poppy commercial kind of stuff, like more soft, easy listening music. Well, not easy. I would consider it easy listening, but it's definitely more of like it still has that rock sound. It's just not hard rock. Um, the song, I don't know where Mason went, but the song "Old Days" by Chicago. I think it was written by James Pankow. It was from Chicago's 8, their 7th studio album by Chicago, or 8th overall. Let me see. Oh, he texted me. All right. It was their 7th studio album, and it had this, and it was about 50s and 60s nostalgia, and it was just like a novelty kind of song. I'll look up the lyrics. I'll try not to. Hopefully this won't get me copyrighted. Days by Chicago. Like I said before, this was a song. This is actually a song that I could say that I like. It's a song that I really grew to like. I wasn't into it at first because it was like it was kind of like it was like a novelty rock tune. It was I would consider novelty rock tunes like something like Werewolves of London by Warren Zevon. Like that kind of music. Like it's not over the top. It's not like anything like overly technical. But this is the lyrics, these are the verses. If I get copyrighted for this, oh well. Old days, good times I remember, fun days filled with ship of pleasure. And then, like in the pre chorus, he talks about stuff that was big in the 50s and 60s, which was drive in movies, comic books in blue jeans, Howdy Doody, which was a famous children's show in the 50s and 60s, baseball cards, and birthdays take me back. So it was a nostalgia song, which is why which is what influenced me to rewrite the lyrics to a more like Gen Z, like late Gen Z, or early Gen Z, late millennial kind of vibe to it, where instead of 50s and 60s nostalgia, it's 90s and 2000s nostalgia. But as what Pankow said, this is what he said on the Wikipedia article. It touches on key phrases, although they date me, are pretty right on in terms of images of my childhood. The Howdy Doody show on television and collecting baseball cards and comic books. Pankow told group biographer James William Ruhlman that the group stopped performing the song live because Cetera refused to sing it, calling the lyrics corny. Eh, they kind of were. They're not like again, they're not like thought provoking lyrics that'll like really like touch your heart, have like fill you with emotions like uh Color My World, or any of the really big, or any of the really like earlier stuff like I'm a Man, like that kind of stuff, or 25 or 6 to 4, like it's it's like I said, it's like a novelty song. It's still an enjoyable tune. I think it's a very enjoyable tune. I think the lyrics are well enough to be catchy, and I would recommend it. I'll even write it down on here. Old days. And I noticed the horn arrangements on this album too, on this song in particular, are very good. I think they in some cases they sound a little goofy cuz they sound like suspenseful when it's really like a song about nostalgia. Like it sounds like you're in a serious predicament. Like in the chorus, there's like a part that goes like it sounds very like serious, like something bad is gonna happen. But it's I don't know, like I really grew to like it. Like it seems kind of goofy because the way that it was arranged, but it's a good tune. Like it's an enjoyable, catchy tune. It's not an overcomplicated song. It's not like a hard rock song, but it's still a rock song despite that. Oh, I made a typo there. Let's see. Old days. This is it. Old Days by Chicago. I could even link. I'll show you guys what the album it came from. Chicago 8. This was the album it came from. 1975's Chicago 8. Definitely check that stuff out. I know, like, again, I'm not expecting you to like these songs. I'm not expecting you to like this, but these are just recommendations. I I've really delved deep into a lot of the realm of Chicago, and the musicianship of the band, and that's what's really been standing out to me. And here's a fun fact about "Wishing You Were Here." I looked this up a earlier today. The reason why, what came of this collaboration between Chicago and the Beach Boys is the fact that their manager was close. Their manager, I don't, James Guercio or James William Guercio. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but he knew the Beach Boys as well. So he got in contact with them and said, like, hey, maybe you guys should do a song together. And sure, that's how "Wishing You Were Here" came to be. Now, they had another song that I'm not exactly familiar with as well as I would be with the other Chicago tunes that I named, like Harry Truman. That also came from Chicago 8. That's another poppy song. This actually, uh, according to the wiki article, said it was written after the resignation of U.S. President Richard Nixon, who resigned on August 9th, 1974. And I'm very surprised that I remembered that date. But I guess I never really skipped out on American history in high school, so that's probably why I remember it so well. But this song is talking about Harry S. Truman. He was the president of the United States from the end of World War II up until the early 50s, specifically, as it says here, April 12th, 1945 to January 20th, 1953. Uh, he was president around, that was when he was president. So about nowadays would be considered 2 terms. This is basically talking about just talking good about Harry Truman, saying like America needs you, you're a good president, that kind of stuff. It was again, it's another like poppy tune. It had like a rock sound to it, but it was like more poppy, and that was another big hit from Chicago 8. Now, on to the next and final Chicago album from the 70s that I want to talk about. It's Chicago 10. Chicago 10 was when they really, really, you could tell the transition was already done. They've done a more popular approach to their music. And here's what came about it. We even brought up the song earlier. I'm going to first talk about If You Leave Me Now. If You Leave Me Now is I believe it's a first. It came out in 1976, and it was a soft rock. Yeah, it was a soft rock tune. It was a ballad that was about, hey, it's saying like, oh, like about talking to a lover, saying like, if you leave me now, you're getting rid of the biggest part of me. You're specifically the song says, "If you leave me now, you'll take away the biggest part of me," which is saying like this I value this relationship I value like I value my life, or I value this relationship more than my life, which is supposed to be like a really sad like I don't want you to leave me song. Let's see what. Here we go. And this song was composed on an acoustic guitar. I know that in live versions of this song, Peter Cetera plays a 12 string because the song plays a 12 string. Let's see. Oh, and Terry Kath doesn't play on this song. That's surprises me. Yeah. I'm looking up the album now and it says Terry Kath played on guitar except If You Leave Me Now, which was I assume played on a 12 string guitar. But who played on that? Their producer and manager James William Guercio. He played the acoustic guitar, he played the 12 string. What? Hmm. It was written solely by Peter Cetera, which again, as I brought this up to a lot of you, this was in Grand Theft Auto 5. A lot of people, at least from my generation growing up, um, they they know this from the scene where, spoiler alert, Trevor has to give uh has to give this mob boss's wife back to the mob boss, uh, and while he's doing it, like while he's driving there, he's like crying, and this song's playing in the background, and it's just, it's quite enjoyable. It's quite enjoyable, and it plays on the radio fairly frequently in that game too. Like if you hear the rock radio, it plays "If You Leave Me Now" fairly frequently, and that's actually where I first heard the song. Like "Guilty as Charged," that was where I first heard the song. Now, the next song I want to talk about is "Another Rainy Day in New York City." It was a it was a s- it wasn't a again. This is when Chicago transitioned from being a hard rock and like bluesy, funky, jazzy band to just being like soft rock, commercially friendly, radio friendly rock music. And "Another Rainy Day in New York City" was like it was a calypso jazz tune that was just it was just described as like an upbeat and song. It was like an upbeat song, just a feel good kind of like get your body moving kind of song. It has like a reggae kind of vibe, a reggae flavor to it, and Peter Cetera sings lead vocals on that as well as he. A lot of these more recent songs, Peter Cetera does lead vocals on. "Wishing You Were Here," Kath sung lead vocals on, but "Old Days," Harry Truman, he sang lead vocals on. "Another Rainy Day in New York City," he sang lead vocals on that, and "If You Leave Me Now," he sang lead vocals on it. So the noticeable differences that I have, it was the variety in their vocalists. They learned that, hey, we should we should do we should have one singular vocalist that defines the band's sound, be the vocalist for a majority of their big hits. And it turns out "Another Rainy Day in New York City" was another big hit, was a song that Peter Cetera sang and was one of their big hits. It wasn't as popular as their other songs. Neither was "If You Leave Me Now." I think it got more popular in the later years. Like I said, it seems like "If You Leave Me Now" is a lot more popular now than it was when it came out in 1976. And but so far, that's the extent of the 70s Chicago that I've listened to. I haven't really listened to Chicago 11, sorry to say. I know the only song I can really name off there is "Baby What a Big Surprise." It was another soft rock ballad. that Peter Cetera and there's another soft rock ballad that Peter Cetera sang on and played. He did a lot of the arrangement because he did more of the songwriting later on, from 1976 onward. And another surprising thing is Peter's brother Tim and Carl Wilson of the Beach Boys added backing vocals onto this tune. So that's definitely quite an interesting fact that I didn't even know. I just looked this up here. And after that, they they tragically lost Terry Kath at the age of 31 in California. He died on, let me have a look. He died on January 23rd, 1978, from a accidental gunshot wound to his head. Um, Long story short, he went to a party. He was, I think he was drunk. I don't remember, and he was trying to do like a party trick with his gun. He didn't realize there was a bullet in the chamber because he took the magazine out, put it to his head, shot himself, and he tragically died. He was 31 years old, and I believe it said he was, since his birthday was January 31st here, and he died on January 23rd. He died about 8 days shy of his 32nd birthday. And sadly, that went probably one of the greatest rock guitarists of all time. Luckily, Chicago did not forget him. Their song Alive Again from their 1978 album Hot Streets was their it was basically commemorating the life of Terry Kath. And I think it's it's a it's a good tune. It's a nice feel good catchy tune. I think the morbid undertone or the sad undertone kind of makes it really sad to listen to. But it's definitely uh, a pleasant tune to listen to. It's a more disco kind of flair to it. Again, Peter Cetera singing this song, and they're not doing anything overly technical besides, just the guitar chords and the rhythms, and there's mostly the rhythms with the horns rather than the bass and all the other instruments. Although they're doing very rhythmic stuff there too. But it's definitely a good tune, and I think it was a very flattering uh and it's a very flattering and honorable thing that they did to commemorate their late guitarist. Now, I'm going to skip to Chicago's 1982 album, which is Chicago 16. They had the ballads Hard to Say I'm Sorry, which I think was one of Peter Cetera's best vocal performances, at least for anything, or at least in anything they have done. I think that it's just got the perfect timbre. It's got the it's got the emotion. It's just that everything was where it needed to be vocally in that song. And that was actually one of the first few hits that David Foster, famous producer and songwriter, got with a famous producer and songwriter did with Chicago, and he's known for doing songs with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I believe Linda Ronstadt. I could be wrong. I don't think it was Linda Ronstadt, but he's worked with a lot of other big musical artists. He worked with Chuck Berry. He worked with Airplay, and he worked with Earth, Wind, and Fire. Okay, but he started writing big hits with Peter Cetera, and a lot of their well known ballads were under the songwriting label of Peter Cetera and David Foster. But Hard to Say I'm Sorry is basically like a love ballad, is like, oh, relationship ended, I was sad, I felt bad, and all this other stuff. But Peter Cetera was definitely the big highlight of it. I know the album version has an instrumental outro called Get Away, which it's goes up because the song was originally in E, and then it goes up to G, and then it goes down to F sharp. And it's just like a jam kind of outro, like mostly with the horns and the other instruments. Love Me Tomorrow is another ballad that was written by Cetera and Foster. This one I don't think had as much vocal power as Hard to Say I'm Sorry. Like I don't think it stands out as much. I don't think his vocals really like have the same energy. It's still a decent tune. I but I it wouldn't be one that I would go out of my way to listen to regularly. Like I would say Hard to Say I'm Sorry is definitely that mood, that song where you're like in the mood and you really want to listen to it. And this is also the when they brought the keyboard player and singer Bill Champlin. He was another big part of Chicago in the 80s, or at least the early to mid 80s. And he's definitely got a voice of his own. He's one of a kind. But just hold off for a second, guys. I just want to see if I could get Mason back in the back in the back in the stream. So all right. I'll see if he. All right. And if any of you guys want to come on, I'll send the stream yard up here. If you guys have anything you want to say about Chicago, the next and probably the last album that I will be talking about with Chicago is Chicago 17, which came out in 1984 and was the last album to have their founding member and bassist slash vocalist, Peter Cetera. I'm only going to talk about two of their songs because I'm only familiar with two of their songs. So the first song I'm going to talk about is Hard Habit to Break. I think this was I think this really defined 80s ballad. Uh, Fortunately, Mason's suffering some technical difficulties, so I'll have to continue the the stream without him. But this is this is the first song that caught my interest of Chicago 17, and it was the ballad "Hard Habit to Break." Peter Cetera Peter Cetera sang lead vocals on this, and Bill Champlin sang, like I said before, on the pre-chorus of the song. And I think that the timbre and the setup for I think the dynamics were just again perfect. Like Hard to Say I'm Sorry, but Hard Habit to Break was again vocal oriented, and it was vocally oriented, and it was more towards the ballad side of music, because in the 80s rock ballads and power ballads were the go-to for radio friendly rock music. Now, this is not a song that I listen to regularly. It's a very good song. I think it's one of their best vocally, and like I said before, and it's definitely one of those it's one of those like songs where it's like I really want to listen to something I really want to listen to a strong ballad where there's like everyone's feeling something. Like that's what I would go for. I don't have too much. I don't have anything more to say for Hard Habit to Break, but another strong ballad that involves uh, energy, high energy, and just good vibes, good feeling. You're the inspiration. This is probably what most people, at least from my generation and from people that I grew up with, know as the most famous Chicago song. I think it probably has their. I think it's probably done their most success. I think it's been their most commercial success that they've done because it peaked at number 3 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and it peaked at number 1 on the US Billboard Adult Contemporary charts. Now, most people that I knew growing up only knew this song from that Time Life music collection. It's like, oh, all your generation's greatest love songs put into one. And it's you hear the chorus for this song, the you're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration. It's definitely like a feel good song. Like I would recommend listening to it when you're in a good mood and you're with someone you love, whether it's a family member or just someone you're with. Definitely that kind of vibey song. And I sometimes listen to it whenever I'm bored and like, oh, I want to listen to a song I could sing along to when I'm driving. I was like, oh yeah, this feels so good to listen to. This is one of these songs. You're the inspiration. It's not one of my favorite Chicago songs, but it's definitely a song that I would love to listen to whenever I want to listen to music and whenever I just want to vibe out. Now, with the songwriting of both of these songs, Hard Habit to Break not written by any of the was actually not written by anyone in the band. Hard Habit to Break was written by Steve Kipner, who I believe wrote I believe what did he write? He wrote a lot of the big hits from he wrote a lot of the biggest hits from the 80s and 90s. He's a big time songwriter. He's written for Christina Aguilera, Olivia Newton John, uh, Natasha Bedingfield. He also wrote for her, and he also wrote The Hardest Thing by 98 Degrees. So he's been around. He's been around a lot of famous musicians. I'm not too familiar with John Lewis Parker. I'd have to do more research or outside research on that. But that was one of the few instances where a Chicago song wasn't written by any of the members of the band. You're the Inspiration was written by Peter Cetera and David Foster. Again, that was the big duo in the 80s. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in general is the just Chicago's impact in general. Like what made them stand out as a band. They were one of the biggest American rock bands that mixed hard rock with jazz music and horn sections, just incorporated horn sections in a way that no one else has done before. Like, yeah, Frank Zappa was known for incorporating the horn sections in his music and hard rock music, but Chicago was on the other side of the spectrum. He was they did more radio friendly music. They first started off being more progressive, more experimental, and then as the years went by, their hard rock started going softer and softer to more ballad based music. And then after they lost the great Terry Kath, that was when, they decided, hey, let's just change up our sound entirely. Let's focus more on 80s music, 80s rock, 80s ballads. And that's what Chicago became. And then after Cetera left, they just went on and did their own thing. Peter Cetera went on to embark on a solo career, and Chicago just continued to perform. They still, with whatever members they still had left, they had Robert Lamb, they had, I think they still had Danny Serafine. I think he might have left after Cetera, but I'm gotta look that up again. And they still have the three uh, horn players. They still have James Pankow. They still have I'm not even gonna bother with saying their names again, but I can only name James Pankow and Lee Lofnan and the other guy who's forget his name. I'm not even gonna try, but the they're still performing today, and if they're still good live, if they could still hold a performance live like they did, say in the 70s and 80s, more power to them. I This Chicago listening binge has really opened my mind to different possibilities in rock music and in commercial music in general, and there's definitely a lot to be explored with not just Chicago, but in general. Like Peter Cetera went on to do more ballad based music as well. He did the song Glory of Love for the Karate Kid Part 2. That was practically the theme song for that movie. And he even he even did a song with Amy Grant, I believe that was popular as well. I think he retired recently. He retired in 2019, but there's no doubt that he has a remarkable and extraordinary legacy with Chicago, and so does the Terry Kath, God rest his soul. And I think I would really hope that this has opened your eyes or open you up to really like listening to them, saying like, hey, maybe I might want to listen to their songs. They seem like a very interesting band. And if you don't, that's totally fine too. I just wanted to um I just wanted to explore this. I just wanted to explore this band with you guys and ha- um tell you things about Chicago that you probably have not heard of. And if you have, um either ways, I'm glad. I hope you enjoyed this video. Mason was not here because he was having signal trouble, but if he sees this and when he sees this, I will thank you again for coming on. Thank you to Mason for coming on and being a part of this discussion. Thank you guys for coming here to the stream and watching. You again, you guys I would not be doing this without your guys' support. Instagram at LA Perez Works for more updates on the podcast. I should be doing one tomorrow, but keep on the lookout on my Instagram for the podcast for updates regarding the podcast because I put stuff on my Instagram story. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the rest. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, share with your friends. Subscribe if you want to hear videos similar to this one. If you have any topics that you want me to talk about, message me on Instagram or message me on even just comment on my videos and I'll have a look. But message me on Instagram again at LA Perez Works, and I should hear from me. I would definitely love to hear what topics you have to talk about. Guys, that is all for now. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And as always, stay tuned.